Oh, hey, Alice. You walked in at a good time. We got Fabulist in the building, and Cordie Nicole, Shrieking Violet, Hussy Fit fame. Y'all have a show coming up, Springwater, the 29th.
Yes, yeah. That is Memorial Day.
Nice. Who else is on that bill?
Our buddies Growler and our other buddies in Soldatna.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna be playing anything off your new EP?
The whole thing.
Whole thing?
Yeah, we'll be doing all of it.
I guess not the intro, unless we just play it before we play
the track.
Yeah.
And Life in Turtorial is out now, all streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll put a link in the description. And then y'all are playing first day of Jort's Fest.
Yes.
For what's it, June 2nd?
June 2nd, yeah, and that's out at the East Room. It's a festival that Ghost Town Remedy's putting on.
Hell yeah.
So we're excited to be a part of that.
Right on. I'll definitely catch y'all at Springwater. And you better be there, and I'll know if you don't, because I'm gonna be there. What do you have coming up?
Oh, you know, Tangs.
Just Tangs?
It's not about me. Most things are about me. This isn't about
me. What shows you got coming up?
Oh God. I'll be at Springwater Friday, but this won't be up in time.
Yeah.
Most things, this will not be up in time. I will be at Eastside Bowl July 13th for the Nearly Dead's release show. So that'll be cool.
Hell yeah.
Sick. Yeah.
That's what's up.
It's exciting.
So how long have y'all been performing as Fabulist?
So we've been working on it for 2019.
19, I think, is when I met you. Yeah, I don't know how long.
Yeah,
I've been doing it before that.
Yeah, so Bucolic Deep, our first single, came out November 2019.
Yeah,
and then for some crazy reason we hibernated the next year and didn't do anything. Which that
ate a lot of notes, then hibernated.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So me and Micah got together pretty regularly throughout 2020, and when it was safe to do so, and was working on like a full release. And then after we did that, which is Pertinent Prologue, which came out 2021.
It's a great name.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then we started playing shows at the end of 2021.
Yeah, the first show was December 21st at Springwater with Growler.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
full circle.
It's like a reunion show coming up.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, we had at the time it was Micah, me, and our friend Gabe, who plays keys with us, and we had gotten some friends and kind of just bullied them into learning our songs. And then after we played one show, we were like, that was cool. Let's do that more. And so then we spent most of 2022 just kind of like getting a solid lineup together, which is how Chris got involved, and then Cher. And then as soon as we had both of them kind of like locked in, we were like, okay, let's just start booking. And we've been going at it ever since.
Hell yeah. What's y'all's writing process? Do y'all write together? Or?
We it's usually mostly Graham and I doing that. Graham kind of I guess you could more elaborate on how you write the songs yourself and then bring them to me and I help produce them.
Yeah. So like I kind of write everything like from the ground up. Like I obsessively listen to my own music because I'm a narcissist. And I guess like my thing is like I can't just write like a guitar riff and bring it to someone and be like, oh, like what do you think of this fledgling idea? Like I program the drums and I do the guitar and bass, and if I feel like it is something that would need a second guitar, then I put in the second guitar, just kind of like ideas. The core guitar, bass, drums is there. Everything else is just kind of like flavor. But then I'll send it to, or I'll bring it to Micah and then kind of get his like sign off on it. If he feels like it's ready, then we, start producing it. Like Micah starts building it into like what is a Fab song and not just like an instrumental demo. And if it's not ready, then I take it and just work on it till it is.
Gotcha. So it's collaborative, but almost like in pieces. Like I gotcha. In stages, I should say.
Yeah. I'm a producer, not a songwriter. So when Graham has something written, he'll bring it in and I'll, add elements like a producer would, and, help like develop the song. But writing something from scratch isn't really my strong suit.
Sounds like y'all have like a good collaboration.
Yeah.
Like this meshes well.
And I mean it's been something that's like with Pertinent Prologue and with Life in the Tutorial, that was like kind of a weird mix of like me and Micah kind of just plugging away at things week by week, and then Gabe would come in, he would add elaborations, and like we would just basically sit him down and be like, here's the song, here's some keys, what do you think of this song or the sound, and he would figure out what sound he wants, and then he would just be like, okay, shut up, time for me to work, and he would just and just like kind of improv through, and we would kind of wait until we heard ideas and go.
He'd do like 20 incredible things, and then like we'd stop recording, be like, okay, that's enough, and he's like, oh, keep going. We're like, no, let's stop there.
Yeah.
And then we'll like pick the best one of the 20 or 2 or 3 of them and like spread it across the song.
Yeah.
He's incredible though.
Yeah, he's so talented.
Nice.
But so now we're looking at like, with future material, looking at having Chris track bass or Cher come in and like giving these demos out while they're in their initial phases and getting everyone's input and getting like everyone kind of prepped for this idea of like, okay, like let's all do something. Like the song is there, we just need everyone to kind of put their spin on it. So that's kind of been like our new like project we're working on.
Cool.
Future stuff.
Kind of like along the same lines, where do you think art comes from? Like I'm not a musician, but I write poetry, and for me it's like if I try to like sit down and make that happen, like that's not really a thing. Like it's like usually when I'm doing something else, like at work or driving,
Right.
And to me it's like, where the fuck did that even come from? Like, do y'all have any thoughts about that?
That is like literally it's like hell. It's like the epicenter of like just, I mean, I shouldn't say hell. It's like it's grappling like back and forth, because I feel like, I mean, I do a lot of the stuff as like sound design, and like I'm really into just like noises and textures and stuff like that. And it's weird when you try to sit down and you're like, all right, like I'm gonna do like a song. It's like, okay, like that's cool. What's the song gonna be like? It's like, I don't know. And this is all like an internal monologue until like, I don't know, you're like you said, somewhere where it's like you're away from like the desk, or your dog shitting, and you're like, oh, that's a funny, like that's a funny thing, like
That's inspiration.
yeah, that's inspiration. And like, oh, all right, like I don't know, in your brain you just kind of spiral into like this like creative thing. So at least that's what happens for me. But
yeah, I think you kind of touched on it, like art comes from inspiration. Like you can't write something that, I guess it depends on how you define art, but in my opinion, you can't write something that is actually art unless you're inspired by something else to create that.
So it comes from something like external, like stimulus of some kind, like something you see, or
I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be external. It can be, you know, some sort of internal inspiration, you know, like some sort of enlightenment or, you know, discovery about yourself or about the external world. But there has to be some sort of like inspirational influence, in my opinion, to create something that is actually art.
I think that like it's, do you guys ever do that thing where where like you'll get in an argument with somebody and then you'll walk away and you'll be like, that's what I should have said. That would have got him.
Yeah.
It's the like, it's the idea of like wish fulfillment, right? Like it's like, for a lot of people, I think that like art is something that like it's them that they just want to like, it's their internal essence that they want to like manifest physically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a lot of ways that like when you're just kind of like sitting in idleness, you're kind of like, man, wouldn't it be so cool if I walked into a room and this person that I knew was there and they walked up to me and they were like, oh, cool. And then we got coffee and that was a great time. Like we constantly go through like these made up scenarios where like, I wish this would happen to me. Like, I wish I would get this job and do this thing. And like art's kind of that, like it's from the same kind of part of your brain that wants to like manifest from nothing. So in the same way that like you can be walking your dog and like be like, man, wouldn't it be so cool if someone else walked up with their dog and then I made a friend? It's the same thought of like, it needs a bridge. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like this thing that I'm trying to manifest is like, that's it. Like it's just these little, it all comes from like that kind of like fantasy land.
And it doesn't even, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
No, I was gonna say, like, just add on to, it doesn't even have to be anything that's like, because I feel like a lot of times you think it has to be this grandiose like alteration, where it's just like, oh, okay, like I need to, or you just kind of get frustrated. You're like, all right, well, or you force it and you're just like, all right, well, this doesn't work. I'm just gonna scrap it. But it's like the essence of sitting with something and like kind of just like giving it time to kind of just like breathe in and out, and then, you know, observing it. And then sometimes you do make alterations and stuff like that, but it's like, you know, it's you just be surprised like where stuff comes from, how subtle like a switch could be that will literally like, I don't know, swap the entire thing where it like sounds totally different.
You ever feel like a vessel, like you're channeling something from something else? Yeah,
for sure.
That's the best way. Like I think most creatives are constantly trying to find that line between plucking something fully formed out of the ether and like sitting down at an empty desk and being like, let me make something.
Yeah, there's got to be a balance, right? It's like like the two, you have to do both.
Right.
Yeah, it raises a lot of questions for me, like philosophically, about like what even is art? Like what is this? Because it's like we're, I guess nowadays we're kind of like surrounded by it, like it's, and not to take it for granted, but it's kind of like saturated, like tons of movies, tons of visual art, tons of music, and it's like, but like why do people do this weird thing? And I mean, I guess the answer is that we get fulfillment out of it, but like why do we get fulfillment out of that? You know? I guess because there's nothing else to do, really. Like, what do you do? What else are you gonna do with your life?
We're all just waiting around to die.
Yeah.
Might as well do something.
Just
It makes it a lot more
Just stare into
interesting.
the void. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take your dog for a walk. Write a song.
I'm detecting a theme here with dogs and inspiration.
I have 2 cats.
Yeah, we're
Nice.
cat people.
Yeah.
I love cats. We have
I'm a cat person too.
nice.
I'm a dog person. I'm allergic to cats. So
No.
I don't have a choice.
My none of them are mine, but my roommate has 3 cats. They just picked up a kitten yesterday. Yeah. So now there's 3, and it's a lot of cats. It's a lot of cats. I do, if I wasn't a cat person, maybe be annoying, but I love cats.
Yeah.
I learned something.
You don't love cats.
What do you mean I don't love cats?
You don't
have
love
a fucking
anything.
parasite, bro.
Oh yeah. I was actually, you beat me to the punch. I was just about to talk about that. So I learned something disturbing about cats. Apparently it's either in their urine or their feces that there's these parasites that in the brains of rodents, it messes with their like sexual attraction and fear. So they will like run straight up to cats and just get killed. But in people, it makes you care about them more. Which, like, if you look back at like Egypt, like they fucking worshipped cats.
That makes sense. I get it. I'm on board. I want that parasite.
I've definitely got it.
Yeah, like let me keep this, please.
Yeah.
I need this.
All I have to say is, in this day and age, for like, I'm assuming like our kind of unified age bracket, you're going to encounter a roommate that's a parasite.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you don't love them. Like,
that's great.
Yeah. You know?
Shout out Titans of Siren Wayne, get a job.
You can't just go it solo anymore. You can't just get a $1,200 apartment.
That's true.
Not a parasite in your life. Like,
Yeah.
Sometimes you pull out a fact that you think people are going to care about, like, oh, did you know they're putting horse meat in Taco Bell tacos? I'm like, perfect. I'm still going to eat that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna eat it more now.
Like, I want that parasite.
fuck
I want
horses.
that horse meat. Yeah, I don't have a horse parasite in my brain. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, but if it was cats, it'd be different.
Yeah, no,
It'd
I'm not
be, like,
eating
way different. Yeah. That is interesting. Yeah. It's like the cute ones. It's like, no, don't eat that.
well, another one is like the idea that if a cat was the size of a horse, the first thing it would do is kill you. Even though you've been its owner.
Yeah.
Dude, they're so fucking fast. Even when they're bigger, like jungle cats are fucking crazy.
I know.
Like, and ultimately, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Like, Totoro is gonna become the size of a horse and kill me.
Right.
I
Way
don't-
to go.
How else do I want to die?
Wasn't
Yeah.
it is cats that like eat your cadaver.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
That's
would
a
want
beautiful
them to.
thing.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing. My dog doesn't do that. My dog's just like gross, man. I'm like, really? Like after everything?
After I
Just
brought you this
staring
body?
naked.
Like, not today.
This is something to ask everybody, and I like to preface and say that like nobody on the planet actually has the answer. But what do you think happens after we die?
You go underground.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, but,
Sometimes.
like,
I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
Was your cremated?
When I buried people.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
I was there.
I was there.
Done it.
Yeah.
No, that was a shower. I don't know.
I mean, no one knows, right? And it's like it's what it I guess that's part of what's so interesting to me about it, because I like getting other people's perspectives on it. So I guess, does anything make more sense than anything else to you?
I think there's only one like thing that make like this is like my like anchor, is that I feel like the universe is too big and like perfectly composed down to like a molecular level to where like there has to be like a higher power, whether it's regardless of like whether it's like aliens or God or whatever. There has to be something that put it all together, because otherwise it's just too hard to believe that like the universe just like rolled a nat 20 and created everything.
That is the problem with like evolution in the Big Bang. It's kind of like, well, shit just works too perfectly for that. Like,
and
I think evolution in the Big Bang could be part of that. Where and I mean, and
yeah,
But
that,
also
that shit's real. First
I mean,
of all,
yeah,
so
evolution is real. Like,
Yeah,
that does happen.
but that
like,
doesn't discount intelligent design.
Right.
Like it, yeah.
I feel like evolution's kind of circular reasoning. Like it's perfect because it happened, and it happened because it's perfect. Like if it wasn't perfect, it wouldn't have happened, and if it didn't happen, it wasn't perfect. You know?
Fuck, that's a good point.
Yeah.
and like from there it's like, if everything is too perfect to happen organically, then at that point, if we can be like, oh, like there's something that put it together, that's where the conversation has to like stop for me, because I'm like, whatever, like God, aliens, whatever it was, is so outside of our like comprehension that it's pointless. You know what I mean? Like
and we won't know because it's so far outside.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, even if someone could figure out like definitive proof of like the Judeo-Christian God, like that's the one, like that's the one.
He's the one.
That's the one. It's like, that's the proof. Then like I still can't necessarily be convinced that like the Catholic Church would come out of the woodworks and be like, oh, like everything on the Bible is right then. It's like, I don't know, man. Like if you hear the word of God and like in the Judeo-Christian religion, like that God, you just get like blasted from existence. Like,
if you take it from like the Bible from like a fundamentalist point of view, like this is a guy in the clouds. He's such a fucking dick. Like in the scripture, he's such a fucking asshole, especially in the Old Testament.
Yeah, that's Old Testament. Don't worry about
fucking
it.
monster.
It goes back to evolution, right?
God doesn't change, but he changed from the Old Testament and the New Testament. He became a whole nother God, but God never changes though.
But so I was raised really religiously, and I'm not religious, but I still have a lot of like respect for scripture. It actually really bothers me that people just don't fucking understand it at all. Like, because that shit's not supposed to be taken literally. Like ancient Jews did not go, yeah, Earth is 5,000 years old, Adam and Eve. Like it's a metaphor to explain kind of like some deeper concepts.
Right.
And we've only taken it literally for like 500 years. I could rant about that a lot. But,
dude, I can get into it with you.
Yeah,
I was gonna
were
say,
you raised religiously?
Yeah, very religiously.
I was Jehovah's Witness. What denomination were you?
I was kind of just non-denominational, which is Baptist, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think at the core, like what a lot of Christians don't really grasp is like it doesn't matter if the Bible is literal or figurative. Like the lessons there are still important and still something that you should like abide by, whether or not you believed, like Adam and Eve actually lived in the garden, like the moral there is still important and still valid.
For sure.
No matter how you like understand it as literal or figurative.
To me, it's like it actually is kind of deeper if it's not real. Like, I don't know. I feel like yeah, people focus on the wrong aspects of it. Yeah.
I think that like ultimately it's not there really isn't any like, and this is just from my standpoint, but like I don't believe that there really is like a right or wrong way to interpret like the rules of any religion, as long as what your actions are off that interpretation is like for a net positive. Like if it teaches you like I'm not gonna kill my neighbor, yeah, I feel like probably a lot of people would agree that that's like a net positive.
Yeah. I feel like net positive is kind of a dangerous path to take though, because like if you kill, one person, save two people,
that is true.
That's a net positive. But
that is true.
Dude, I was on the strawberry the other day.
Yeah.
It was intense.
Can it be a moral net positive?
Again, like morals kind of subjective.
Yeah, it's true.
So that'd be a hard line to draw.
As long as you're living with a way that you're happy with, and that can continue to
killing people.
Yeah. My favorite thing is killing my neighbor.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That would make me so happy right
Yeah.
now.
I so kind of joining with the two of you guys, I feel like I was also raised Baptist, and it's weird. But also like my dad was like Muslim, so you had these two like batting of heads. I thought was interesting was like I just dismissed all of it because I was just like, you're proving my point is that like again you're getting lost in like you're drowning in like the wrong part of the book, where it's like pay attention to the moral compass of like what's going on. I've been in church, I've seen like church people do terrible things. I'm just kind of like, and then you go back to church on Sunday and it's like, well, we drank the wine and God, and it's like, no, it's not like it's not this world, and I mean like at the end of the day, I'm just a human being. I don't know. This is all just ignorant. My idea of what I think is going on. But like at the end of the day, I don't know. I'm just like, I like the term universal God. That makes more sense to me. I don't like, I get like Allah and like, Jesus Christ and like God and all that stuff, but it's like the universe. Like I feel like going back to what you said, Graham, was like on a molecular level, it's like there's no like if I feel like if you were to like if the veil was like or if the curtain was just like unveiled and then it was like you got to see like everything that was going on and it was just like a room that was completely empty, people would just probably lose their fucking minds. My family would probably just be like everything we've thought, and I'm like, yeah, because like how can you? It's just an anchor. Everyone's anchor is like it's different, but to sit and be like this is, I've had like I've been in arguments where it's like this is like the end all be all solution. It's like all right for you, that could be for it's like and that's a beautiful thing if that like anchors you, but like you can't you can't just you can't like condense every mind in the world and like solder it together.
I think multiple things can be right, like there's a lot of beautiful stuff in the Quran and there's a lot of beautiful stuff in the Torah,
but also it's just like you said, it's just like it's not literally, it's like ideas and stuff to feed off of,
for sure,
which is like awesome. So
I feel like much like every self-help book isn't going to speak to every person. You've got to find the one that resonates with you. Faith is important to people, and I understand why it is. And perhaps on some level, I'm agnostic, but I could see in a way how they're all saying the same thing, and it's just semantics. And each person needs to find the faith that resonates with them and speaks to them in their own certain way. In theory,
exactly,
agnostic.
For sure. What works for you, because they all kind of do say the same thing with different dressing on it. But where it gets weird is like we were just talking about, like you got to focus on like the moral lesson. It's not like this is where people come from.
My one and only hope is that when I die, I can just sit on a cloud and whisper poems into my hand and throw them down to some guy walking his dog. And he's going to stop and go, where did that come from? And he's going to go about his day.
It's going to be like just like a massive word. Just like,
No, you don't have to die for that. We can find you an ice tree to climb up into.
There we go.
Make your fucking day, buddy.
Okay, well, so here's a question though. Has anyone ever found the reason why if you walk into like a place of worship, it is a very like specific, like singular vibe? Like the atmosphere is different in a place of worship. Maybe not in like massive like mega church.
I bet it is.
It could be.
Vibes are off for sure.
It's like a science. Like the thermostat is like the Holy Spirit temperature, and like the wall paint is
there's
like the Holy Spirit.
I can't remember who it is. If you could find it, that'd be really cool, Phill. But there's a philosopher, I can't remember who it is, but basically it was saying that it's way easier to control a group of people than it is to control an individual. And like when you get
like a hive mind thing.
What it is like if you get a bunch of people in a room like that, like a mega church, it's like you're all doing this, so there's like peer pressure between each other.
It's like de-individualization.
Well, it can also be weird though, because like it can get to a point where it's like there's so many people and a lot of like the people all have to be on that same time though.
They have to be willing to
getting
do it.
Too many people in like a mega church where it's like some people are here for that vibe, but then the other people are just there and they're throwing that off. Like I've been I've experienced that same sort of like religious sort of like the same sort of vibe you're talking about, like in other places outside of like places of worship. And it seems to be like if there are it has to be a group, but not too big of a group, because then you have too many opposing minds that break that.
There's got to be like a willingness to
Yeah.
to be brainwashed or to join
Like
that
going to
group.
shows and like stuff like that. I'm not the type of person that usually puts themselves out there, but if I go to a show and there's 20 people and everybody's vibing and dancing, that's what I'm going to do.
They gotta already
But
be
I go to
drinking
a
the
concert
Kool-Aid.
with 1,000 people, and yeah, the mosh pit's moving. Maybe the person 3 rows from me is moving, but I'm not. Because the rest of the body, it's just, I don't know, it's weird.
You have to
It's
be like
different.
willing to be part of it.
Yeah.
If you're resistant to it, you're not. It's not going to work on you, I guess.
So what I was actually referring to is an empty church.
Right.
Have you guys ever been
Oh.
into an empty
Oh.
church?
No.
Totally right.
Oh
That's
yeah,
like-
yeah, yeah.
Like
Hmm.
there's a weird, like, the only thing you can really call it is like it's like a magic. Like you go into an empty house of worship, nobody's there. There's no vibe to feed off,
Mhm.
but it is a very like singular thing that stays in the room.
Mhm.
And it's not like going into like an empty Walmart. You can go into an empty
I
Walmart
think
and get
it's
it
like about
totally.
the-
I feel like I felt that at schools as well, though.
Yeah, it's kind of
I-
about like the
Like a
physical
lingering
atmosphere.
energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is very,
Haunted. Yeah. Haunted church. That's
haunted
a
church.
good name
because
for
even
something.
like
Maybe it's like the smell of the carpet almost.
It's a mix. Like that's what I was gonna
No,
say. Is
I
anyone-
feel like it's low key just all like the stimulus. Like it's always clean in there. It always
Yeah.
is comfortable temperature. It smells very nice or very neutral. The lighting is very warm and inviting.
yeah.
So it's like if you were to walk into a place that isn't a house of worship, it's just like a really nice home that has the same qualities. I feel like you would get somewhat of that same vibe. It's more of just like the environment that they curate.
It's a
Yeah.
good point. Like if it's your home, there's comfort in that. But it's like if you are in a stranger's house and it's like they're not around or something,
Mhm.
it's like there's like an uncomfortable stillness
Mhm.
about that.
I get
Oh no, I
that.
feel most at home.
He's frogging.
like
Yeah, I feel like
you
it's
get
a
to
few
try
of
new
those things.
shampoos.
Yeah.
You could say it's a lingering energy from that space
Yeah.
of what has been there. You could say it's, you projecting how you feel about it onto that. Or,
It's a frequency thing. I mean, even when you like, what I've been doing is like when I drive, I don't listen to anything for like the first couple of hours, and it's like it's crazy if you go from like having like music, even the most like down tempo stuff, to just complete silence, or even like sitting in my room and then I listen to music going to bed, and now I don't, and like I feel different. Like there's it's just this weird like it's almost like when you sounds great when you take like hallucinogens and like there's like a certain frequency. It's like I notice it, I feel it differently.
Yeah.
My body's blood's like flowing like at a different rate or something like that. But you're aware of it, and it's almost as if it's like so quiet that it's screaming.
Yeah, I know
You
exactly
know?
what you mean.
Yeah.
I've even like on acid or shrooms or something like that, been able to like isolate it to a certain part of a room
Mhm.
where it's like that part is so quiet that it's loud.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's like I think it's like a sixth sense, and like I am not religious but like spiritually minded in that sense, and I do think there's something going on there. This whole thing about like the empty church and what we're talking about reminds me of a chaos magic concept. It's called an egregore, and basically if you believe in something, like I don't know that imaginary is the right way of looking at it. Like we put it in terms of like real and imaginary, but it's like, what if everything you could conceive of and things you couldn't conceive of do exist outside of the physical plane? So I think like me and Phill have had like some like experiences that I would consider like contact with spirits, like channeling, things like that. And that to me feels like a handshake. Like you're putting your energy into this idea, and that idea is like collaborating with you to like form a bond. And it's like it's in your head, but it's not. And I think like paradoxically, both things are true. That makes sense. It doesn't make sense, but I guess that's what I'm trying to say is it actually doesn't make sense in
Right.
terms of logic. Yeah.
But it's hard to articulate, but like you've experienced it, you feel it. Like it is a very real feeling. It makes some kind of sense in your brain, but there's no way to translate that to somebody who wasn't part of it.
Yeah. My friend Jesse, shout out to Midgard Musings. Great. He does like Nordic stuff, like talking about like Thor and Odin. But he has a word for it called UPG, unverified personal gnosis. And basically like when something weird happens to you, but there's no way of verifying it. And it tends to be that more stuff like that happens when you're alone. I don't think that's actually a discredit to the event. It's like maybe that's part of the process. It's like you've opened your space, like there's room in your mind for this thing. You were talking about like not listening to music, like in the car before you go to bed. I have to have like a fan or some kind of noise.
Yeah.
Or I will have nightmares.
Like, yeah. I would too. I mean, like it's getting better. I mean, now like, you know, like laying in my bed, but there would be things that would like enter my head, or like I would feel like there'd be nothing. There's obviously nothing in the room, but it's just like it feels like someone's like there.
Like you said, screaming at you.
Yeah, like someone is like literally it's just like this it's the equivalent of like turning a dial like ever so slightly, like a hair. And it's just like, but that little notch is so loud, and like, but loud in the sense that it's like you're not exposed to it. Like, you know, it's like a different, you know what, like white noise, like, you know, brown noise, all that stuff, but it has like a different timbre. It's the same idea. It's just like, you know, just a different frequency. But
oh, interesting. Like actually is a frequency, but not actually audible. I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah.
Where it actually is a frequency. You just can't hear it.
It's a frequency, but it's a frequency that like my whole body like feels, and like sometimes it like can catapult me into like terror, where it's just kind of like I feel maybe something I haven't processed, you know, maybe it's just a lot of different things. But there have been times where it's like, even, I mean, you know, my grandmother passed like in my aunt's house. So it's like we went inside the house, and it's just like every time we go back, it's just like this, you go from outside to inside the house. It's just like this totally putting on like something, and you're like, whoa, all right. When I leave, I'm just kind of like, holy shit. Okay.
Have you seen The Shining?
I have. Yeah.
So I think The Shining's a real thing. Like the way they discuss it in the book and the movie. Like basically, it's not that some people have it and some people don't. It's that people have it in differing maybe frequencies. And it's like, I think like sometimes you just meet someone and it's like you click immediately, and it's like either it feels like you've known them a long time, or it's like you just hit it off like immediately. And I think that can be true of like objects and places too, where it's just like you either like vibe with this place, or maybe like you seriously don't.
Yeah. And you may not know why at that moment, but it's just like, or you know, you may revisit it and it's just kind of like, oh, like something, you know, it's like dropping an apple on someone's head. It's like, oh shit, okay, like I didn't realize that. But
so we talked about like extra dimensional aliens, like spirits. What do you guys think about like, what's the word for that? Extraterrestrials. Yeah, like from off the planet, but also in the physical universe. Like UFOs, I guess. So everyone I've asked this is like, well, there's got to be life out there somewhere.
Yeah.
So I don't even bother with that. But like, do you think there's been extraterrestrial life here, either in the past or currently?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I was raised very much, and my grandfather was really into like cryptozoology and like ancient aliens and all that kind of thing. So I grew up looking for it, and I was like, well, I don't really see it, but I hope it's there.
I hope it's not.
I think that's the more
I'm with Graham
logical
on this.
response,
Yeah.
by the
I
way.
think there's no way. Like the universe is way too massive for our planet to be that special.
Yeah.
Also, just like how shitty would that be? Like you're like these beings can because they're not in like we I'm gonna sound like an idiot. We have a good idea of what's going on in like the Milky Way.
Right.
Yeah.
And then outside of the Milky Way, we're just kind of on the cusp of finding planets that have kind of similar conditions to ours.
Like they're in a
right?
habitable zone.
Goldilocks zone. Yeah.
Exactly. So like aliens are past that point. Wherever they're hanging out, they are past the point that we have so far been able to perceive. They made it all the way to our planet, which means that they're already developed past the point that we are developed to
Beyond comprehension.
Yeah. And they left us nothing.
Yeah.
And don't tell me that like they left us the pyramids, because that's horse. That's a trash gift. That is rocks. Like
But they're stacked up, dude.
stacked up. Like we
Not
learned,
one, not two, but three.
Lined up with the
Lined
stars,
up.
bro.
Come on,
Lined up
man.
with the
the thing
stars.
is, the thing is that if Jeff Bezos wanted to make another pyramid, he could do that
Just
with
fucking
the
3D print
technology.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he would
I
3D print it.
I've been to Memphis. Like I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he could build a
Bass Pro
pyramid
Show?
if he wanted to. We can get there now.
Yeah.
They're already when they showed up. If they showed up, they were
Yeah.
already past the point that we are at now.
Way
Right.
past.
Yeah.
So like it would have to be like a 2030 Tesla.
Graham is complaining that like when he had a newborn, someone brought him some newborn clothes and the kid outgrew them. And he's like, well, now it's a shitty gift.
Yeah.
He doesn't need this rattle anymore.
No. That is a terrible premise for what I'm getting into. That's like if you invite all of your friends to your baby shower
Right.
and your one billionaire friend shows up and they bring you baby clothes.
Yeah.
But like not nice, like not Gucci.
Yeah, it's not like
We're
an
talking
Iron Man suit
Versace.
for your baby.
Yeah, they bring you some Walmart baby clothes. And when you're like, dude, I could have gotten this shit myself, they're like, don't worry about it. In a couple of billions of years, you'll be just like me.
Yeah.
You'll be a billionaire.
So if there are aliens and they've been here, they're just fucking assholes.
they're the 1%. Like,
Yeah.
they're just giving us their leftovers, like stacking rocks.
It could be like to like kind of like counter that, I guess. If it was, I guess it would be like maybe like an experiment, like looking at like an ant colony or something like that.
Like
I
when you
think it
drop
would-
a cookie and you're like, what are they gonna do with it?
It's just some teenager
Yeah.
that's like fucking with Earth. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, they're not gonna know what the fuck to think about this.
We are all ants under God's like magnifying
Yeah.
glass.
I
Either-
think
or
I think
even
that
worse.
would be so funny and so reassuring to find out that I am everything that I thought that I knew. I don't know if they just if some like you said if some teenager was like operating shit, I'd be like, all right, cool, man. Can we just stop? Just please, like that's fine. I'm sorry. I thought it was cool to kill actual ants. I'm actually the ant. All right, great. Can we just turn this off, like, please?
But what if it was like the flip side? They come down and we're like, where have you been? They were like, we were here long ago, like before you. And they were like, what were the signs that like that you occupied this planet? And they were like, apples.
Yeah.
You
thought-
didn't realize? Like
You
did
thought those were
Yeah,
just
so now we're just
growing
circling back
here?
to God.
Yeah, like-
Either God or a simulation.
Yeah. And we're like, you brought us apples. Like, well, you guys already had bananas. We didn't know what else to bring
Yeah.
you. Like,
You had everything.
yeah.
It's like wait, you're like it's like Tesla. What is a Tesla? Do you not know? What year is it? How advanced are you guys?
Yeah. No matter how you put it, if aliens have been here, they're assholes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like,
I've heard that argument though. That's what I find so funny because like everyone, what if they're like completely? What if we're the ones that like I don't know, we're ahead of them? How funny would that be?
I mean, look at the stuff that we send out to space, though. It's like a disc with like nudes on it and directions to our house. Like they probably saw that and they're like, no, thank you.
Pass. Hard,
Yeah, hard
swipe
pass.
left on that.
Yeah.
We're gonna redirect this somewhere else.
It's just flying. It's like they're just floating. Like just kick it. I don't care where it is. Just kick it out.
Oh God, it's one of those again.
Yeah.
Now we're saying that like aliens as a collective, whether there's like just one alien culture or billions of them, they are all getting our information. They're all seeing our profile picture and swiping left.
They've all collectively decided.
Yeah.
Like they're just they're passing it around like, no, you take it.
Earth is the equivalent of like having a fish in your Tinder profile. It's like I'm not gonna go with that.
Yeah.
I really feel like it's like the anime Gurren Lagann.
I love Gurren Lagann.
I feel like it's like that.
How? Like, can you elaborate?
I
Like they
feel
have a
like,
drill.
No, we have the drill, and eventually we're all going to be forced to live underground.
Oh, I see
and
what you're
like
saying.
the DNA intelligence, and we need to believe in ourselves, but not too much because that's going to intimidate the aliens.
That's fair.
That's good.
The
It's been a few years, but I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like that's the way that it is.
yeah, it's like they just push us underground. That'd be crazy.
They're going to push us underground eventually if they decide that they want Earth, but right now they don't want us because they're like they're stupid, they're insecure, and
They'll
they're not
fucking
a
blow
threat
us
to
up with
us.
nukes. They're fucking crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
What if what if
Sounds
like space goes coast to coast was a preemptive like warning for like us that like guys what if the ants were like we gave you space ghosts? How could you not have seen there's a praying mantis for crying out loud. That's like the host. How stupid can you guys be? It's just like, well, I like that show. You idiots.
We meet aliens and they're like, all right, you've all seen Space Ghost.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're all on the same page. You got that tape.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
So you were talking about like we know a fair bit about like the Milky Way, and I agree. But you know what's crazy is like we know probably more about the Milky Way than like the depths of our oceans.
I've been waiting to bring that up in some organic way, like for the
True,
last
damn.
10 minutes. Yeah.
It's wild, right? Like we know more about our galaxy. I guess it's because we can see it. Like we can actually look at it. But like our oceans, that's like really interesting to me. Like we're still finding shit, even on land, like the Amazon. Like there's like something like hundreds of thousands of insects that like they say are just undiscovered.
Yeah. Well, every time we chop another portion down, we get to find new things.
Yeah,
Like a little
Yeah.
game.
It's a little quest.
they
Yeah.
all run out whenever we burn the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. Life is a wild ride. What is the meaning of life?
Probably those chips that Cher was eating before
They
the
were
show.
the meaning. They were
I
the
didn't
yeah.
try them, but
I got the big bag. Someone told me it was like in the
should
foot
have brought
size.
it in, man.
This episode is
Oh,
brought
bro.
to you by Peppercini
Like
Kettles.
chips.
Yeah. It has to like life, it just has to be the vibe.
It's all about the vibe for
Yeah.
sure.
And like I
Oh,
feel like every year that goes by and I get a little bit older and I start like coming to like what I perceived as like a wall, and think like, okay, like I'm about to like hit a new age and I'm still me. So like, but one day I'm gonna hit that wall and suddenly I'm going to become like my parents.
Hmm.
And it's just been recently that I've realized that like I'm probably going to replay Tears of the Kingdom when I'm 80. And like still listen to the same bands that I like.
Hmm.
And now I'm like, oh, okay, so no, like it doesn't like the thing that I thought was going to happen when you get old, where you're eventually like, oh, I'm too old to do this thing. Because that's kind of what like our generation was like raised on. Was like, oh, you can go out and you can do this now, but like one day you're going to have to do this instead. I don't think anyone cares about that anymore.
Yeah.
Okay,
But to be
like,
fair, your kids will probably think that the bands you grew up
That's what I'm
listening
about
to
to
are
say.
not cool.
100%.
This
like,
shit's whack,
my
dad.
mom still listens to Pink Floyd and like plays like Yahtzee, and like that's what she grew up
That's
doing.
amazing.
Yeah, your mom might have
She's
the
still
same
the same
thing.
person she was.
Well, but what I'm talking about is more like I think and I mean, if anyone disagrees, if anyone had a different experience, but like I thought that, like, especially being like in the arts, it's like you turn 30 and it's like, okay, well, like if it didn't happen, it's probably not gonna happen. The next move might be to get an office job and like become an accountant. And like maybe like, have some kids. Like you didn't get it, but like maybe your spawn will. Maybe you can
Right.
clone yourself and then you can force them to live in your image.
Yeah.
And rinse and repeat.
I wonder how many of those decisions are like made out of like circumstance where it's like, yeah, I did become an accountant and give up on music, but it's because like I had to, like I had a kid or something
Just
like that.
because you become an accountant doesn't mean you have to give up on music, though.
Well, I
It,
think
it actually
that's-
does. It's in the
Yeah.
that's
It's
to
in
my
the
point.
accountant handbook.
yeah. That's rule number one.
Excuse me, Larry. We're happy to hire you here, but we see that you play music, and that's against the rules.
And
It's a funny thing. No.
oh, well,
continue.
that's to my point is like, there's this wall that I feel like a lot of people imagine like as an artist, like in a DIY band or whatever, where it's like eventually you got to grow up and like become an accountant. And then if you become the accountant, you can't play in your punk band at your bar, or like eventually instead of like buying the new Zelda game, you're probably going to want to invest in stock or like look at a Sears catalog and pick out a new foyer.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just kind of not.
That's
Did
amazing.
anyone else live under this delusion, or was it just me and not
Well,
just recently?
It was
No,
an
I see
idea
what you're
for
saying.
sure.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it's funny. It's funny to hear you say that because like I feel like that's my roommate is he plays bass like in Nashville, and he's playing in like all these bands. He played Exit yesterday. I'm like, so it's funny because we kind of came. I knew him in like college, like back in New York, upstate New York, and like we kind of like grew up, with this idea of like, all right, well, we both like music. We're going to school for music. That's what we're going to do when we get out. And I think it's funny because, I had the pleasure of like having like a lot of like older friends who kind of experienced that head on, and they were just, and sparked those conversations. But it's not, it's all, I realize it's just like all kind of conditioning. Like, it's just really like, based off what you said, like, it's a generational thing, to kind of put the cap on like, I'm 39 and like, I'm this age, and whatever you were kind of fed like growing up, it was like, all right, well, maybe you should get that job. Maybe you should just, just work at Kmart or and it's like, okay, yeah, I could do that. But like, also that's not necessarily like what I want to do. And like, the people I can't speak, the influencers that affect me the most are the people that like are like, yeah, I'm like a civil engineer, but I also play in like this band at this time. It's like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like the fact that you could like cater to different parts of your brain, I think that's great. Like, and my roommate, we would talk about this all the time because he's like, man, I like cooking. And I'm like, then go to do culinary stuff. I'm like, you could still, and he's like, yeah, but can you do culinary stuff and like still do music? I'm like, no, like you can't.
Nope,
This is
hard
a law.
stop.
No one ever
The
bangs
law.
on pots and pans.
Exactly,
you know?
yeah. But it's funny because like, I saying it that way, it sounds like it's like this obvious thing, but like that's something like I still grapple with. So I'm like, I go to work and I'm like, I like sustainability. I like, electricity. I like learning about like engineering and shit like that. But I'm also, like playing in this band and like, you know, just playing music in general. So it's like the fact that you can, I think that is like the reason for like, or that's the meaning of life is like to like explore. You have how many like portions of your brain do you have? Like your frontal lobe, like interior lobe, like all these. It's like they're your brain is not just like it's not like a black or white thing. It's so complex. And like this system is not designed to cater. It's like, oh yeah, like go to my job and sit on my desk for like 8 hours. It's like, all right, you can do that. That's fine. If you like doing that, that's like if that gets the neurons firing in a way where like, you know, I don't like I'll say this and I'll stop talking, but like even driving for work, I didn't think I would like that. Like I just do like delivery, you know, but it's it works with my brain in a way where I have to figure out like what it's like a maze. It's like driving, especially in like a terrible city. It's like, all right, this is like terrible driving city. It's like I got to figure out like how to, you know. So it's like all about what caters to like the way you think, and I think it's decoding your brain because everyone is given this like this lie that's like, oh, the brain like it's supposed to just like it's like an assembly line. It's like no, like no one like that's why like people have issues in school and shit like that, and they're stressed out because they're like, I don't think that way. Like, you know,
it's just sodium and potassium moving around in there. Like that's all
yeah,
that's going on.
It is.
Like
that's it.
It's all the vibes.
Nothing else.
Go ahead, Cordie.
I definitely relate to that. I was probably 26, 27, and I had given up on myself in my entire life. I had decided that I was never going to invest in myself, my music, that I wasn't going to be happy in my career, in my relationships. And right around the time that I turned 28, I decided that I was going to say fuck all of that. And I started working on my music and I started working on myself. And I did the office job thing. And over the next year, I found a community that I really loved. I found a community that supported my music and I started booking. And so I was just tired all the time because I was doing it all. And somewhere along there, you know, I realized like, yeah, you can do it all. You just have to work 200% of the time. And now I'm like 30 and I'm kind of realizing I don't know if that is enough, you know, like I would love to not be doing the office thing and to be working a job that fulfills me as well and is in a field that I want to be working. So yeah, it's like you said, like I do also want to kind of do the whole like typical life thing. Like I want to get married and have kids one day, I think. But exactly like you said, I don't think anybody has to follow a typical pattern. You can work an office job, you can not work an office job, you can do the DIY band thing. And I don't think we have to choose the path that our parents chose. I think it made them happy because I think it's the world that they grew up in. But I think we can all certainly be old as shit as we may feel at the time and still make our dreams come true in our own ways.
And I think that's like one of like the big underlying things with like this band is like I don't think it would still be around if like the entire like the underlying concept is like it was like built from the ground up on like what would you find for Philly? Like what would be a vibe? Before, I guess this is like kind of a throwback, but like before me and Micah had started getting together, I moved to Nashville and like immediately like found people to play music with under this band name. And like there were songs that eventually went on to Pertinent Prologue, and I had been working for like 2 years to like get this thing established, and then drummer left, too busy with school, and from there like that was the stepping stone. It just all fell apart. And the week before like the final person in the band was like, it doesn't look like this is gonna happen, I'm out. I had like sold Micah a synthesizer online. And so we had met at a Starbucks, and he was just like, "Oh, thanks for the synthesizer, bye." And I immediately,
I don't know who this guy
Yeah.
is.
yeah. And I immediately cyber stalked him because I was like, he looks like a cool person, and like, you know, I need people like he looks like he plays keys at least.
Yeah, he's got a synthesizer.
So like I found his Facebook, and then I found his Instagram, and I added him on Instagram, and you know, we just started talking. So like immediately when the initial people who were in this band like all kind of went and did their own thing, and this was a very short period of like maybe like 2 months, I hit up Micah and was like, hey, like let's get some food. And we met up, and I was like, what would make this like worth your time? Like for me, I want to like write songs and be in a band. Like that's like my fulfillment. But then the underlying factor is that like I want to like have a close knit group of friends, and like I'm not good at poker, so I can't do poker night. So this is like the alternative. Like this is how I can get together with my friends on a regular basis, which is being in a band. What would be fulfilling? And you had said, you know, produce it. I want to produce, like Michael wants to produce. So I said, okay, I will write, you produce. And then it grew from there, like with Gabe, like Gabe's just like, I just want to play keys. Like, give me song, I play song. And it's just like that simple. So everyone that's been a part of this band within like the first like time of talking about it with them, it's always been like, what would be fulfilling for you that we can provide? Like if we can provide it, there's a spot for you here. But if we can't, then like we know it won't be a good fit. And now like we have this, you know, group of people that like we hang out and we enjoy each other's company, and there's never any like arguments about weird like, well, I think we should do this as a band, like I think it should be this type of thing, because it was already kind of established. And it's an open door for the people who see themselves as a part of it.
I think that's like really mature and pragmatic, and like I think that could really easily be applied to like relationships too.
Yeah,
where it's like, I guess like setting boundaries and like figuring out like, okay, what do you want, you know, like what are your goals,
What are
kind
you
of
looking
thing.
for? Yeah.
Yeah. Like from the onset.
Yeah,
That's really cool. It sounds like
Yeah.
y'all have a great energy like together. So
I like to think so.
Yeah.
We have
See, that
fun at the very least.
Graham really cultivates like a good environment. Like he
Yeah,
always brings
it's
around
true.
good people and like encourages like positive vibes in any group that he's in. So really appreciate that.
nice.
and as a counter, Micah caters a very great like physical environment.
Oh
Like,
my goodness.
we're always meeting at Micah's place, and it is like there is just like a great, like, not to be that band that's like, oh yeah, we're sick, like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
obviously.
It's great.
But like I've been in a couple of bands at this point, and like this is the first one that like just feels very like our practice is just, you know, getting together, working on songs. Our production cycles are like going over to Micah's house, drinking like different kinds of like seltzer water recipes and then talking about them obsessively. We both
Very
have soda
obsessively.
streams now.
I was about to say, you make your own.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's a
That's
whole
dope.
thing. Yeah.
Okay. Quick recipe, right?
Okay.
Seltzer water, soda stream,
So stream 4 pumps.
4 pumps, perfect amount of carbonation. You put in 15% of your glass,
Mhm.
15% pomegranate juice.
Oh.
Like the circle ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the frozen aisle, next to the ice cream, they sell frozen cubes of passion fruit
Okay.
that just dissolves when you put them in the seltzer water, and then 1 lime. Squeeze the lime, drop it in.
You're a fucking chemist.
And it is basically the best
Yeah.
like soda that has like no like, you know, unnatural ingredients.
Nice.
Goes hard.
So yeah, we talk a lot about seltzer water, and we write music and
And
Yeah.
you write music about seltzer water.
Just dogs.
Just dogs.
Just dogs.
just dogs.
Stay tuned.
Dogs in the seltzer water that they like.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But,
Sparkly dogs.
but yeah, it's been, you know, years of like cultivating like not only like a sound as a band that like stands apart and is its own thing, but also the kind of environment, because ultimately, you know, I want to look back and say that like we did the most whenever we had the opportunity to do it. We, you know, we're always like kind to one another, and whatever we like made in terms of like music was something that we like all saw ourselves in, and like we were able to like, you know, just being fully invested willingly, instead of like, oh yeah, I do this band, like it's not really like
Going through the motions.
yeah, it's not really my thing, but like it's something to do.
Mhm.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, like again, when you're like 80, you're gonna look back and look at all the time that you spent on this thing that like it was just something
Yeah.
to do.
And like when I see a band play, like you can really tell when they enjoy what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's like, and you can tell when they don't, where it's like, why are you guys even doing this?
Yeah.
And like, I guess the answer sometimes is money, which like, that's not a bad answer, but like,
That's why I'm here.
yeah.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it?
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like life's short. Do what you want. And it's cool that like you all found each other. It's life's weird like that too, where it's like you meet people just in happenstance, and it's like feels faded, you know, like maybe not faded, but feels that way, where it's like it completely changes your life in like a positive way. I just want to like come back a little bit to something you were saying earlier
Yeah.
about like you can do multiple things.
Mhm.
And it's like that's set, like yeah, that's like so simple when you hear it, but like sometimes the most profound truths are really simple.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like it's like people you hear that and it's like, oh yeah, I know that, I've thought of that before, but it's like it took someone to say it.
Yeah.
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 I really like stuff like that. It's it's important to say those kind of things, you know.
Yeah.
I had more on that, I lost it. I'll come back to me. I have kind of a hypothetical for you all. So like, okay, so you have like a painting, let's say like the Mona Lisa, and someone,
This is the Mona Lisa.
yeah, this is the Mona Lisa, the real one. We just put it on the table, we set drinks on it. And then you have like a perfect replica, like maybe not perfect, but like art critics will look at it and not be able to tell the difference. Which one is more valuable? I guess not in monetary terms, but I guess personally, or are they the same value?
Depends on where your focus is, because you could argue that the replica is more valuable. If you can replicate it, that means that more people can have it in their space, and it provides more value to more people.
It's also, if you think about like recreating
Right.
that thing, like to the point where it's like almost perfect, then that's like actually harder to do than make the Mona Lisa to
But you
begin
said
with.
the painting, not the artist.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's still like the product is harder to create.
Yeah,
Then-
but the original is still the original, and the artist is dead. Therefore, the original is more valuable. But if we
Yeah.
can lock up the person who did the perfect replica, then yeah, that artist, money.
Yeah. Like the plagiarist is like
The
what's putting-
plagiarist,
yeah.
money. We can make some money off of them.
Yeah, I feel like the
Mm.
Mona Lisa's kind of a bad example because the artist is long dead. So like there's never going to be another like
Mhm.
new Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
But if you take
Yeah.
something, you know, like a song, and then you have someone else like recreate that song like step for step, like which one has more value might be a more fair evaluation.
Sure, I actually like that better.
And
Yeah.
I think going back to what we talked about, like, you know, the meaning of art, like the recreation lacks the inspiration because it wasn't created from the heart. It was just created to copy something that did have heart. So like kind of going back to another thing we talked about, like with the energies that things inherently have, like that original piece of art is going to have like an energy that you can't recreate because it was born out of that energy.
Yeah, you couldn't even make the replica without the original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
That's-
kind of reminds me of like the ugly AI stuff that's going on right
I was just
now.
thinking about that. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that. Is like you like AI can do all this crazy stuff, but like kind of like you were saying, like it wouldn't be able to do that unless I had something to go off of to
Yeah.
begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on this. Like part of me says that they're both equally valued, but I guess to really say that you kind of need a metric of value. Like actual, I guess it's always going to be subjective unless we like agree on like a metric of value.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess like in a practical application, if anyone just took a song and recreated it step by step and made the perfect clone and then said, hey guys, look at what I made, the only reception they would get in like a positive note is like, oh, like that is good, like you have a very well-rounded skill set, like you cloned the Killers, one person has done the job of 5 people,
Something like that. Yeah.
However many.
and you sang just like the person from the Killers, very good, like very skilled, not necessarily like, you know, bringing anything of value, because you're already talking about like, you know, in a physical space, what's a song worth? 0.003
cents.
Yeah, like so music already has like this kind of like weird relationship with like value. But if you looked at the more like the real world application, you get that all the time where like an imperfect recreation of someone else's work ends up having more value down the line. So like just I mean, my wheelhouse, like emo is a great example of like American football makes one album, plays 2 shows in nobody's basement to nobody, and then they break up. And that is the most like, that is the most common music success story on the planet. It's like you gave it your best shot, you did it for a little bit and it stopped.
Yeah.
Later.
Duster, literally, yeah.
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 And excuse me. I mean, same thing with like Cap and Jazz in the same like house, same family. Nate Kinsella and Mike Kinsella and Tim Kinsella have been in so many different bands, and none of them were actually like critically acclaimed. But then they just kept plugging away at it. And now, like, you know, 10 years later, someone dusted it off on the internet and made hundreds of clones. Like, and this isn't derogatory, but like Algernon Cadwallader is like, a lot of people would say that like that is an imperfect recreation of Cap and Jazz that to a lot of people has a lot more value than the band that they were, you know, influenced off of.
Yeah. I guess there's not really one answer to the question.
Yeah. Like if I walk up and I see a painting and I'm like, oh, that's a beautiful painting. Tell me about it. And someone's like, oh, it's just some clone I bought on eBay. But I didn't know that. I just thought it was like a nice painting.
Yeah.
If I don't know the original, like it's not going to impact my value.
Recreation ranging from like perfect to imperfect, I would make the argument that like the imperfect recreation has more value.
No, yeah, I would think so.
Like in a capitalist sense.
No, like even like in an artistic sense, like like talking about like if I can't like speak for them, I don't know them, and maybe someone will correct me, but like Algernon making an imperfect replication of Captain Jazz, like or everyone is like influence is so kind of like the relationship between like what you're influenced by and what you're copying is like kind of synonymous in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like you can just copy someone else's band, but you're not going to do it perfectly. So like at that point you can just kind of walk around and be like, oh no, it's just like a recreation, like it's an influence.
It's not plagiarism, it's influence.
Would you say that like I guess everything is like that, like kind of a clone of something else? Because like it kind of is and it kind of isn't, I guess.
It's more of a synthesis, I think.
Oh sure,
you're taking all of
elements.
the things you like and you're trying to distill them into you.
You're totally right. Yeah, it's like
I mean, like if you kind of break down, I suppose, our music, because that's relevant since we're here, like you can kind of hear, like if Graham listed out every band he was inspired by, and I listed out every artist I was inspired by, and Chris the same, like you would hear all of those like elements within our music, so it's all like you take each piece you like and then it kind of funnels down into like one new thing.
What is every band you've been inspired by?
List every band.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you're a music fan?
In order. You don't actually have to do that. What was I gonna say? Do we have any ghost stories at the table? And I guess let me clarify. Not necessarily ghosts, but like something you experience you can't explain. I guess kind of like the empty church thing we were talking about. I guess, but anything like any specific moments in your lives?
Not in adulthood. I had a few as a kid. Like I was sitting at the end of the bed and I was just like giggling at an empty doorway. My mom was like, what are you laughing at? And I was like, oh, that's Papa's mom who had died when I was like a baby. And she's like, why?
Do you remember that, or do you remember your mom telling you about that?
All of my like supernatural stories are things that I remember adults in my life telling me about. Gotcha. I don't remember them firsthand.
Anyone else?
I don't have anything off the top of my head.
That's a good answer too.
Not really. I've had a lot of like the empty church things, not necessarily like, oh, what's that over there? But like, I spent a lot of my time as like a kid, kind of like just in forests and like, heavily like natured areas, which so like most of my ghost stories would probably be like, oh, I was in the wood and like I had this feeling, and like sometimes that would end up being like a moose. Like so not actually a ghost at all, but just like the feeling of being alone in a place that is filled with like active sentient life that you're not like immediately aware of.
It's kind of like creepy.
Yeah, or just again like the church, just like a very specific feeling of like you're in a forest and that there's animals, but you just can't see them.
Kind of like feeling like someone's watching you.
Yeah. It's your midi-chlorians,
Yeah.
Do you have any ghost stories or just things that you can't explain?
Oh man. Come back to me. Let me try to see if I could like think of something.
I don't want to catch anyone off guard. This is also something I ask everybody, but when was the last time you cried? Everyone can opt out if they don't want to answer that.
Do we count like tearing up, or is it just like full like?
So for me, it's usually like tearing up at a movie or something.
Right.
Yeah. So
Alright.
I'll count that.
I went to.
You can slide out at the question with something like that. Just kidding.
There's this artist that I've been supporting for a little while, and they got to play the Ryman for the first time, and so that was like a really big opportunity for them. And so just hearing the crowd cheer for them on that night kind of made me tear up a bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Who was it?
They're called Adeem the artist. They're a 7th generation Carolinian. They're a non-binary like folk country singer, which is there's not a whole lot of them out there. Right. And so like it's not a gimmick, it's like part of who they are, and it's something that they've expressed in their music and outside, and people have really taken to that, and it's opening a lot of doors for a lot of people. So
That's awesome.
it's nice to see them rise to the occasion and like knock it out of the park, and it just is nice.
That's such a wholesome answer.
Yeah.
I've definitely cried at the Ryman.
Yeah. It's a beautiful space.
Something about like the acoustics in there is so fucking good.
It's a church.
Yeah,
Got that
actually,
special.
that's
Got that special vibe to it.
there's something to that. Like I was telling y'all, I was raised really religiously. I was also homeschooled, so I was really fucking sheltered until I turned 18, and then I moved out, and I immediately fell into the scene here and just started going East Room, Cobra, The End, Exit In, fucking Mercy Lounge, High Watt, and and that it has a very similar energy to it. Sense of community. Yeah. Well, except it's way fucking better. Except the music doesn't suck.
Right.
Yeah, anyone else got any crying stories?
Last time I cried, crap, what was it? I think it was it like sounds so bad. It was like Christmas morning, but I think it was because like I heard a song and it reminded me of like my grandmother and stuff like that, and like just family. And I just was like, and it was like weird because I was like, it was just years of just not like she passed away like 2-3 years ago. And then I was just like sitting there, just like my dog came in and I was just like, don't look at me. It was a bad time, man. But it was I'm like, don't look at me. But it was good.
It's funny how grief can like not necessarily be in the moment, like not at a funeral, but like you said, like years later, just like
it stinks up on you.
Yeah. It had, like art, it will find a release in some way. I'm sure you can all relate, but like for an artist, like art is not optional. Like I guess maybe the point where it is optional is when you become an accountant. But call back. But it's very like I have to do this kind of thing. When was the last time you cried?
Dude, I'm not good at crying.
I've never heard of Graham crying. I'm sure it happens, but
I didn't even cry when the doctor slapped me. He cried. Well, I fucking slapped him back.
I So I was trying to come up with an answer and I missed that like incredible like one-liner. That was good. 2000.
13 years ago.
2001.
No, 2010. It had to be 2009 or 2010. I was driving from Anchorage, Alaska to Whittier, Alaska to give my dad his truck, which there's some places where in Alaska you can't get to. That's where I was raised. You can't get there by road. So what you need to do is you need to take a truck and take it to a ferry, and the ferry will then take it to where my dad was at the time. And there wasn't a grocery store out there, so he would drive the truck into Anchorage, fill it up with groceries. He would take a flight back, and then I drove it to Whittier, so to put on the ferry. What happened was I was in his truck and my friend was in my truck, and we made it all the way out to right outside of Whittier. And then it was snowing, but then it started to rain. and then it iced over. And I lost control of the truck and hit a snowbank, which on its own was fine, but I bounced off because the roads were iced over. And then my friend hit me in my truck. And so already all I can think about is like, my dad's gonna kill me, right? So I'm like, okay, turn around. I'm just gonna go home. Like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. We
So it's
turned
still drivable.
Oh yeah, both of the vehicles were still drivable. So we turn around and we start making our way back. And we make it like 3 miles down the road before we encounter a semi truck that had lost control of their vehicle and had blocked the road. And we were like a football field away, where like I got the truck all the way to 0, like stopped, and we just slid all the way. And I stopped like right in front of his truck. And then my friend hit me from behind.
Oh, fuck.
And we just kind of like had this 3-way collision.
Damn.
And
Fuck.
I didn't even wait. I immediately burst into tears because I was like, I just want to go home. Like, and I could see my friend in my truck, and I could hear him just going, fuck. And I see him snap his glasses in half and just throw them like.
Sorry, I broke my glasses.
Oh
I can't drive.
What else was he gonna break? Everything in that thing was mine.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah.
I would cry. Like if that happened on the way home today, I would cry.
Yeah.
Probably sooner than you did.
Oh, I would have. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought these fucking potholes here were sketchy. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. It was.
Damn.
It was a really bad day.
And your dad was probably hungry.
Yeah.
You had all this food.
What did he
Yeah.
say? Like, what in the end? Like,
Oh, he was just pissed. Like, he was like, "This is cool. Thanks for letting me know. You're talking. Are you going to a hospital?" I'm like, "No, like we're fine." Like every collision we had was like at a full stop and us just sliding. And he was like, "Cool. I can't talk to you right now. I am going to get off the phone." And then my mom called me and she was like, "Are you dead?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay, do you want to talk about it?" And I'm like, "No, I'm all cried out. Like,
I'm all good.
I'm just trying to get home, dog."
Wow.
jeez.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow. Fuck.
So compared to that, not a lot of things have happened since then that have been as bad as that.
Fair.
So I just don't really have like that's what it takes to get me to tear up.
Yeah. That's a bad fucking day.
Yeah.
And he's,
Man, I don't have a story that good. I cried like earlier this week watching a TV show that just like really hit with me.
See, I wish I could just watch a TV show and just like emotionally resonate with it strong enough. And I sometimes I do,
Yeah.
but not to physical like tears.
I gotta like be.
It doesn't come easy for me for sure, but a little easier than yours.
He's over there
Yeah.
like pinching himself like I want to cry during this scene.
Yeah.
Gotta make it happen.
be human. Yeah.
Think about the truck.
Think about the truck.
Like a pickup truck?
Like the truck in the story.
No. I mean like what kind of truck?
Oh yeah,
You're
yeah.
both driving trucks, right?
My dad had a funny enough, my dad had a Ford F-150, so like a big like, truck. And I had my dad's hand-me-down Toyota Tacoma.
Okay.
Yes.
So it was a smaller truck, which I liked.
They're so reliable, man.
Was that what your friend was driving?
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
And
And
he was driving your car.
he was
Okay.
driving mine. Yeah, because I didn't want him to drive my dad's and something happened to him,
Right. Yeah.
right?
God
Yeah.
forbid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like were they I guess you drove them home so they weren't totaled like did you just get it repaired or
Okay, so this is gonna sound crazy. My dad's truck, yeah. that got repaired. The shitty part was that because both of the cars were under the same insurance, they couldn't take out claims against each other.
Oh fuck, that's
So
interesting.
the truck got paid for, my dad's truck got paid for like out of pocket. Mine, I just kept driving. And
Been there. Yeah.
I got home, I had to bungee cord the hood closed.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so I bungee corded the hood, and if I went down a highway, which there's only one in Alaska, the hood would like pick up a little bit, which was scary. The bungee cord did its job. The door, driver's side door would not close, so that was bungee corded too, because the entire like the bed and like the truck itself was like warped. So like all of a sudden things weren't fitting in the way they were. So I just ended up bungee cording everything. And then like getting through like passenger side door.
That's not cool, but it does sound cold.
It was super. I also at that point forward, I had to jump the truck every morning in the winter because it was just too cold, and with the hood being open, I had to like charge a little portable battery pack and jump it every morning to get to wherever I wanted to go.
Alaska is like a third world country.
It's crazy.
I was just kidding.
People are crazy there. No, it's not. It's just like it's a weird place. Like we call you guys like the lower 48, like because we are out there just like acting crazy.
Well, it's entirely different. Like it's called rallies up there instead of checkers. Like everything is different.
Okay, here's the biggest difference.
Bizarro world.
I'm glad
I
Cher
would
like
pick
that.
That's great.
I'm trying to think of what's a rally in Alaska.
Checkers.
They might not even have them up there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
They
That
just
don't
said
have
that.
Waffle House, do
Even
they?
worse. I don't know. You're asking the wrong one.
No Waffle House.
No Waffle House.
No
Not a place I want
I
to
watched
live.
the comedy skit once. They ain't got shit.
Yeah. But a great indicator is like I do remember in my like youth with this truck going on dates where I would pick up my date in that truck
Swag.
and just
Oh, yeah.
explain like, okay, like door's not opening, hood's not opening, you have a door,
Yeah,
but
you can get out.
I need to use it before you
Yeah.
to get in. And it's a stick shift, so I have to like finagle,
Yeah.
and like it's not a 4-seater, it's a coupe basically. So
Yeah.
like it's very small. Never had somebody just be like, no, not getting in that, or give me any real like grief over it. They were like, you have a vehicle, like, and I'm like, yeah, like does it have heat? I'm like, yeah, after a while.
Better than every bus stop.
Better than every bus stop. And they were just like, yep, let's
Yeah.
go. Like,
Let's go to rallies. You're like, what's that? They're like, I'll tell you on
I'll
the
tell
way.
you.
yeah.
So, what brought you to Nashville? Music?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, I came here on a like a little like weekend thing to go to the Ryman, and I saw a band play at the Ryman, and I got like a good cup of coffee, and
Love the
place for me.
coffee.
Yeah, that was it.
well, that was kind of
Music, all right. The coffee though.
what more. I think I went to East Side Music Supply,
Good stuff.
and I was like, this place is tight. Like it was just one of those things where I was like, I don't really need like too much. Like if there's like if there's things for me to do, then I'm cool. Add in the bonus of like, I knew that there would be like a big like thriving music community, and everyone would probably do something creative in one way or another, so it wouldn't be hard for me to like make friends and find community. And that's ultimately like what is one of the most important things to me. Is like that's what a band is for me, which I think I talked about earlier. Just like, you know, building your little close-knit community and like holding on to that.
Yeah.
So
we have a really good scene here. Like when I moved here like 2015, I wasn't too far away. I was like maybe like an hour and a half south, like right above Alabama. And like I've seen it change just in the time I've been here. Like Nashville can be cliquey. Like you have the Broadway scene, like the cover bands, and then you have East Side, and then you have like Murfreesboro punk scene, and then like there's a metal crowd, and it's like it's definitely still like that a little bit, but it's like really I feel like becoming more of a community, really. I'm sure you've kind of been here enough to kind of experience that a little bit. Did you all come here for music?
I got stranded here.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Well, all right.
You said you went to music school in New York?
Yeah. I went. So I met my roommates in Binghamton, New York, and then was doing music there. And then it's actually funny. They came down for like music initially, and then they were like, they're like, hey, just come down and come stay for like. The plan was like to stay for like what, maybe like 1 or 2 months, and then just go back up. And then timing, it was just like the tornado happened, the pandemic happened. Then I was just like, maybe all right. Because I was playing in bands like back in New York, and I was like, well, maybe I'll go back in next month. Things just got worse, and then I was just like, at a point I was like, all right, well, I think I kind of live down here now.
You're still trying to find a way.
Yeah.
You're like, I've got a job. I guess I'll just
Yeah.
be here.
Like ET style. I'm like, all right, cool, here we are. Like, but I mean, it's like it's interesting. It was weird. It's like now I feel like I'm making up. I mean, I guess everyone is making up for like lost time, but it's just like seeing like all the things that either were there and aren't now due to the tornado, or like just things that managed to survive, or just seeing like the brand new kind of stuff. So it's interesting, but I like it. It's cool. It's a cool place.
Are y'all from here?
No, I moved here 2018-ish. I moved here for music, kind of. I was trying to get into like being a technician, like on tours. So I moved here to like get into being a video tech, which I did for a while.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm a native. I've lived here my whole life.
A unicorn.
I look white?
Yeah, you don't look native.
I was like, the first time I'm hearing about it.
It's like, what?
Hold on. Stop recording.
Thank you for putting him in line. He's been saying this as long as I've known him, and I haven't had the courage to say
I've been trying to get Fab canceled for the last 6 months, and nothing's working.
Well, this will do it.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Nothing.
100%.
But yeah, no, I'm from here. Never lived anywhere else. So I've never lived more than probably an hour and a half outside of Nashville. So
Gotcha. Well, y'all are all super fucking cool, and I'm glad that you came and spent time with us.
yeah,
This has
glad
been
to
a
be
lot
here.
of fun.
For
Life in Turtorial is out now. There is a link right beneath this video, and you better click it. Do it. And then also, you need to be at Springwater on the 29th with them and Growler.
And
And
Soldotna.
Soldotna. The whole EP, Life in the Tutorial, is like 15 minutes long, I
Yeah.
think. Like,
Whoa.
you probably have time to listen to it twice, just,
I kind of love that.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's straight to the point. Have a good time.
Listen to it several times.
Yeah. Or don't.
No, do it. And
Buy it on Bandcamp once and then listen to it as many times as
Yeah.
you see
You
fit.
get that stupid hard thing where it crumbles. You ever like what it's like, show the artist love, and then like it's like, can I just listen to the song again? It's like, nope, sorry, you gotta like
sorry.
Yeah.
sorry.
Y'all
Gotta
should
One-
do a life and the tutorial where you do like playthroughs after each one. Hear me out.
That's something
That-
we're working on.
He's gonna do it.
No,
Like,
facts though. We're
Yeah.
working on some session breakdowns.
Oh,
Hell
yeah.
Yeah, we have a couple. By the time this is out, we have a little merch drop happening.
Oh, shit.
Some remixes on the way. I think we can't spoil it, but I can probably show you guys the new merch drop. See if I
Tell
have
Alice,
it.
she'll tell
Yeah, Alice can't keep a secret.
I mean, tell everyone eventually. We need the money.
Yeah,
We-
Alice, hold on to this for a couple weeks, but then just tell everyone.
but what isn't a spoiler is like we are so in the red. If people want to buy our merch, like we can drop it right now.
Honestly,
Okay, are we just that where we're going? Do you have a picture?
I cut the button right here.
Yeah. Well,
Go
so
down.
one fun thing, and I wish that like more bands would do this, that we weren't the weird ones, but we started doing drop shipping merch. So instead of like making physical merch and then like, begging to move it, we just ended up making stuff that you can order.
Shit.
I know some bands that do that. You're not that weird.
That is super fucking nice. I want one. I want the pink one. I mean, the indescript color one. Does it have a fucking animal we were talking about earlier on it?
Yes.
Y'all can't convince me
Under the
that
night.
this band isn't based around that specific animal.
Well, so look at our album cover.
yeah.
It's it's on the life. They're assets taken from the
That's
life
awesome.
in the tutorial like album art.
Nice. Did you say that's gonna drop by the time this comes out? Because I can put a link to it.
Maybe it's ready to go whenever you want to drop it.
Yeah, we might as well drop it up for the show.
Yeah.
Cool. This is how we make decisions.
Yeah.
On the fly.
Yeah.
It's all about the vibes.
So I'll put a link to that too. Go get merch. They're really fucking dope. I'm gonna get one.
Merch to merch.
And then what was that other show? June 2nd?
June 2nd at the East Room for Jort's Fest.
Jorts.
Hell yeah.
Says,
It is
Wear
a-
your jorts.
Yeah, Jorts, you got to wear your jorts. It's a 2-day long festival. You buy your tickets in advance, and I think you get raffled to. You get an entry to win a guitar from Jack's Guitarcheology.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Buy
Shout
your
out to
tickets
Jack.
in advance. Yeah, dude. Shout out to Jack Brunson.
Jack Bronson.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. Big of True's been on before.
Nice.
They're great fucking
Yeah.
people. Yeah,
I
thank
am
you all again for coming
Yeah.
on.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I would love to do this again sometime, and I will see y'all on the 29th.
Monday, May 29th at Springwater. Doors at
Memorial
7,
Day.
show at 8.
Be there or be a square.
Be a square.
See ya.
Bye, Alice.